to this edition of the Funcom quarterly presentation. We're here together to talk about our fourth quarter of 2017. My name is Conan Exiles and I'm the CEO of Funcom, and with me is Stian. Once again, Stian Drageset, CFO.
Yes, good evening to you all. We're of course happy to present some strong results today that we will get back to.
So without further ado, we'll start with something everyone loves, disclaimers. This presentation might contain forward-looking statements, and as such, those statements can incur risks, and anyone investing or following our stock is welcome to read the risk analysis in our reports and carefully compare and see how the industry works and see how those risks should be taken when evaluating an investment. So these statements are available in the PDF file that's available on our website, so please acquaint yourself with them. In terms of highlights, this has been a very good year for us. 2017 is the most profitable year in the company's history. We're very happy about that. With a profit before tax of $6.6 million. We had positive EBITDA in Q4, despite the quarter being dominated by preparations for our launches in 2018 and transaction costs related to the private placement and the Heroic signatures. All in all, I'm very happy that we have made this 2017 not just a strong year, but the most profitable so far. And we hope that every year will be the most profitable. I think that should be our goal, right? I'm joking, but that would be very good. Conan Exiles is on track for the launch on May 8th, as announced some time ago, in 12 languages, digital and retail stores worldwide with several partners. So that's very exciting and the biggest launch of the year for us. The Bear the Dragons partnership game will be revealed tomorrow. There's been a small teaser countdown that the PR and marketing team has put out to start energizing the press and players to create some buzz around the game. So tomorrow, 28th of February, we will reveal more about the game, and it's on track to be released this year.
Make sure you see that video. It's awesome. Yeah, it's incredible.
Now you said there's going to be a video. They're not supposed to know that. Well, there might be a video tomorrow. Let's
see.
Keep an eye on the website. Financial position has been strengthened through the private placement of 88.4 million kroner. That was made towards Swedbank Robur, on top of the cash closing balance of 2017 of around $8 million. And since February 1st, Funcom has owned 50% of the gaming rights for Conan the Barbarian and many other IPs. This is part of the Heroic signatures transaction that was announced months ago and finalized at the beginning of this month. And this transaction means that we also will start receiving IP royalties from those IPs from February 1st. And that transaction increases the equity of the company by approximately $7 million in Q1. It's important to say that, and Stian will touch upon that the effect of the transaction happens in Q1, not in Q4. And finally, very exciting news for us. One of our internal projects that we've been in concepting and prototyping phase for some months has been greenlit, and we start pre-production now in March. And we don't have many more details for that, but we'll touch upon that later in the presentation. So financials is Stian's domain.
Yeah, so let's dive right into the numbers. Yeah. So as we said, this is the most profitable year in the company's history. Revenue was strong, 23 million in 2017 and 3.1 in the fourth quarter. So both significantly higher than corresponding values in 2016. EBITDA is positive at 0.4 million for Q4 and 9.9 for the year, which we're of course very happy with. And we also touch upon the Q4 is dominated for preparing some of the exciting launches we have for 2018, and also transaction costs. Bear the Dragons game was expensed in Q1 and Q2 and Q3, and they're now capitalized. That's in order to follow the industry standard. And now when we launched the strategy of doing more third-party games, we had a thorough assessment and concluded then to capitalize not only Bearded Dragons but also the future third-party or co-developed games that we will do, as long as they're within the same structure. Profit for the year is 6.6 and a small negative profit on 0.7 million in fourth quarter. Then due to the same reasons that 4Q was dominated by preparations. And we've calculated the tax of 1.7 million for 2017. That's not going to be payable, and that's because there's changes in deferred taxes. So if, or depending on next year's result, then this might be relevant later, but for now it's not payable. It does, however, affect equity. So equity is up 13.7 from $3.7 million at the same time last year. So it's up a lot, even despite the small reduction by the tax and the profit for Q4. We have a strong financial position, based on the cash at 8.1 million of 4Q, and also then Robur's private placement.
That comes in Q1.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's not in this table yet.
Yeah. And here we see the strong year, 23.2 million revenue and a 43% EBITDA margin. Very happy with that kind of EBITDA margins. And
just for those that might be watching that don't know what EBITDA margin is, can you say what it represents?
Sure, yeah. So it stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And that's a profit measure that is often more similar to cash because it does not take into account the amortizations. That is a non-cash cost.
So the margin means,
and so basically, if it's a high EBITDA margin, it's similar to a high profit margin. Then we're profitable. 43% is very good. So if we can sustain that over time, Funcom will do very well.
It's not if we can sustain. We have to, right?
Yeah, no, we don't give out precise forecasts, but of course we have our internal forecast, and we're confident about next year. So we think things will continue to be well. But this graph also illustrates the history. And an interesting point is that we see in 2014 to 16, even though revenues were declining, profitability was going up. And that's because there was doing quite intense cost cutting at the time. And through that period, Rui and the team here, I joined more recently, but they really did a hard job. And you see the logo with the scars. They got a few of the scars then, and really learned something about cost cutting. And that's something that we will bring into the next phase also. We'll stay cost conscious. We will make sensible investments into new games and generate more revenue, but we'll do so in a cost conscious approach still. Even though we have more capital now, we'll make sure that is spent wisely.
We want to have a reasonable, careful growth, sustainable growth, not something that we think will be unsustainable. I think that's very important for us. It's very important for me and for everyone that's been in Funcom for a while, and we don't want to go through some of the cost cutting that we had to do before. So we prefer to be cost conscious in our growth rather than grow extremely fast and then have to cut deeply afterwards. Yeah.
Now we're growing selectively, adding key positions here and there, but slowly really making sure we get the right people and not kind of a dramatic hiring or expense growth. And this chart, I just love the symmetry of it because it shows 5 years ago we had the 19 million debt and almost no cash. Now we have 19 million of cash and almost no debt. Of course, the situation today is very favorable, and it gives us a good starting point for continuing the turnaround that started in 2015. The first phase has been successfully conducted, and now we have a good point of departure for the next phase.
And that debt is going to go away this year.
Yeah.
The term of the debt is until the end of the year. So
yeah. So
hopefully it will go away earlier, but that's outside of our control. But it is this year.
Yeah. A couple of words about private placement. It was 88.4 million, and after the reverse kroner, yeah. After the reverse split, that's 6.8 million shares that Swedbank Robur got for that. And important to us and all the investors is that this was made at the premium, 18% premium. So some of you might remember the private placement in 2016, which was a completely different situation. That was at the discount. And the last point here is that the proceeds now is for new growth. We don't need the cash immediately because we have fully financed the Conan Exiles launch. But this is for long-term growth and the publishing, co-development and publishing strategy that we announced on 18th of December.
And on that, just to touch upon what we just said, this is growth that is, it's not to fund lots of internal growth. It's mostly to fund additional investment into publishing projects and supporting other launches that aren't just the games we internally develop. So it's growth, but not necessarily direct dependent cost growth. It's investment, a lot of it, into projects that we can cooperate, co-develop, and publish.
Yeah, exactly. And we're very happy to have Swedbank Robur now as one of our largest shareholders. They're a very, very renowned investor. They've had spectacular success in their own investments and incredible return. And they're the largest Nordic game investor. And they've also had a strong influence, it seems, on other Swedish investors, because we've seen Avanza, which is a large platform for Swedish retail investors, has gone up a lot. Their shareholding is now close to 7% of Femcom stock. And we also have some indications about other larger Swedish investors that have made significant investments already.
But I think that that's a good sign. The Swedish financial market is more knowledgeable about the games industry than the Norwegian one, just simply because the Swedish stock exchange have many more gaming companies listed, so there's more knowledge, more comparables, and we welcome investors from anywhere. We see that after Swedbank Robur, that is extremely knowledgeable in this segment, came in, that we see more interest from other people that probably follow what Swedbank Robur does. So we think that's very positive for everyone, really.
Yeah, and as you say, when the guys who invest in comparable companies think we are an interesting investment, that's also that's a good sign.
Yeah, and it reaffirms our belief that we are doing the right thing. So I forgot to say, but if you have any questions, it's preferable if you email them to investor@funcom.com. You can ask on the Twitch chat, but we might miss them that way. So we will take the questions at the end as much as possible. And in general, whenever you have questions, feel free to ask investor@funcom.com. Heroic Signatures. Heroic Signatures is the name of the partnership that we established, that we went into an agreement with Cabinet Entertainment with. And it holds the gaming rights for lots of very interesting IPs, the biggest one being Conan the Barbarian. But there are other IPs that are known, not as big as Conan, but they are very relevant, especially in some gaming groups such as Mutant Chronicles and Mutant Year Zero are quite well known in Sweden, but originally made in Sweden. Same thing with Chronopia, was also a board game there, and Cult, for example. And then on the Robert E. Hour side, Solomon Kane and Co., which also had movies, but there are many other characters, Dark Agnes, Elborak, and many other interesting characters. So the transaction is done. It closed February 8th. And after that, we were very happy to hear the announcement that Amazon has signed the rights to launch a Conan TV series. And that, of course, we have nothing to do with that. That's our partner in the cabinet group that handles those details. But it is good for the IP in general. It is good for the games that will be made using Conan, both by Funcom or licensees of Heroic Signatures. And of course, we will, through Heroic Signatures, work to get games made, and rising tide lifts all boats. So this will help. The games will help the TV show, and the TV show will help the games. And that's what we think. That's why we think this partnership is going to be so positive, is that we can really do bring the best of both worlds, where Cabinet brings the best possible deals to the table on the non-interactive side, and we bring the interactive deals. So we think it's very positive.
Definitely, yeah, and it seems to be a quite big adventure for Amazon. It's $100 million budget, and they've got some big names from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So this looks promising, and yeah, the way this we described, hopefully it will benefit Heroic Signatures and Funcom also.
Yeah, we think so. It's very hard to put a value on these things or estimates, but we do see that a spike in interest on an IP will drive awareness, which will help the games. So, good thing in general. So talking a bit more about what we did here is it's important to remember there's an immediate cash flow benefit from the IPs, or Conan Exiles and Age of Conan in terms of royalties. Other games in development will also bring in cash flow, and a few other points that we've talked about before. More revenue streams, as we have additional royalty revenue streams. When Heroic Signatures license a game to someone, we don't have an investment and development cost, so there's a low downside as an IP owner. It is a competitive strength to have an IP portfolio that you can use internally and as a publishing business. And publishing we're going more into, and it's key part of other gaming groups as well. Security is an important point. We protect the interests we have in Conan Exiles, Age of Conan, and future games, and we secured through this the right to develop 2 Conan games and one other game in one of these IPs that isn't Conan at specified terms. So we already have those. And of course, there's an asset value. So this transaction means we have in the books then a value that overall lifts the company. So a bit on the games. Secret of Legends, there's been several seasonal and weekend events during the last few months to keep the activity levels, drive engagement, keep the players playing and having fun. We've been doing some things to improve the acquisition and retention of players in the game. Client size reduction has been done, for example, to make it easier for a player that downloads the game to really get into it, to not drop off in the middle. And the team is focusing on creating new content and features for the agent system that's out now, very soon. I think it's now. Been a bit distracted with Q4, but I think it's out now. And the new story content that will be released during the first quarter. So the agent system is to help with long-term retention, monetization, and with the narrative. The new story content will expand the story. It's been a while since we put out a good story, and Secret World has a lot of that, and it's something that we've always loved and the players love. So it's the new content will be very good to help with player engagement and player retention. We'll do some user acquisition around the new content, and we'll hopefully see that our improved monetization systems will work well with the new players. And there's going to be a new story content cache and an agent pack, so additional revenue from that. Being a free-to-play game, it's important that we have these systems because, of course, in a free-to-play game, most players don't pay, and the players that do pay, that do want to contribute to the game, they need to feel like they are well rewarded. And the team is working very hard on making sure that these feel good. They are not just there to take money away. It's very important for us making the game that it feels fair, it feels good, it feels rewarding to play, and when you do spend money, that you feel you got your money's worth. It's something that might not always be easy to see from the outside, but it's something that we care about a lot. We try to make it feel right, and that isn't always easy, but we do our best. So exciting things coming to Secret World. On Conan Exiles, we are of course preparing for full launch. Certification process is underway. This is something that you need to do with the platform holders like Microsoft and Sony, and it's on target to be complete during Q1. The full launch is 8th of May to enable to deliver higher quality and more polished game. The map has been doubled compared to our early access launch. We've been revising and tweaking a lot of the game, a lot of the content, a lot of the feel. Not just because we have a new combat system, so things need to flow a bit differently, but also to improve the exploration and survival aspects and overall fun. Games need a lot of tweaking to work well, so the team has been doing that. There's been a lot of investment into new features like the new combat, the purge, the journey system, features that I think will, I know they greatly improve the game. They make it a lot more enjoyable than before, and I'm very excited to see how it's going to be at launch when players really get to experience the game much closer to how it should be than it is now. It's a massive improvement compared to early access launch. In terms of more on the PR and marketing side of things, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. It will be the visual side of it will be there closer to launch. Retail distribution continues as planned with Koch Media, and Koch Media will work on the retail side of the marketing. We'll focus more on the digital side of the marketing, and we have local partnerships that are or have been or are in the process of being established in Asia, in China, Japan, and Korea, to support those regions with PR, marketing, community distribution. We don't have the staff or the knowledge in-house for covering Asia in a good way, so we decided to go find partners that can do it together with us. I think that way we'll get a much better result there. The game was already localized in 11 languages. We added another one, we added Italian, and we're improving the quality of that localization also with the partners from Asia.
We're also happy to see the belief they have in the game, because they've been pushing quite attractive upfront payments that of course we
don't talk about details. So,
don't talk about the details, but we like that it seems like they have belief.
Now we're going to get 50 questions about, oh, what do you mean? Every deal with a partner is unique, and we always try to find a deal that works well for everyone involved. And once again, I would like to say that retail presence is not just to provide additional sales, but also to create visibility and awareness, because people do go to the stores, and then maybe you'll go there to buy a game for a friend as a gift, and then you see Conan Exiles and you go, oh, that's cool. Maybe you don't even buy it at the store, but maybe you buy it online later. So all in all, we think that we're doing a good push, and we hope to see good results from that. And we showed the collector's edition, which is a really cool statue, so it'll be exciting to see if people like that. I quite like it. I'm biased. A few other points in terms of internal games. In Oslo, not much has happened there, as that new Conan the Barbarian game is scheduled to be worked on a bit after Conan Exiles full launch, so not yet. But in North Carolina, we are quite excited that a new major project has been greenlit. It's entering pre-production now in March. Full production will be a bit later in Q2 or Q3 this year, depending on staffing speed, on how quickly you find the right people to have a team fully operational. The game will be cooperative online shooter, premium business model, using an IP from Heroic Signatures, and we don't expect to reveal any information about this this year, so any more information. So there's no point asking about trying to fish for details about this game. What will be said is what's on this slide. We reserve the right to change our minds and say more things at a later stage, but we don't expect to. And to avoid any confusion, this is not the game that we are revealing tomorrow. The game we're revealing tomorrow is the Bearded Dragons partnership game. This game in North Carolina is an internal project. It's also worth mentioning, I mentioned it at the Heroic Signature slide, that the company secured the right to 3 new games, 2 Conan ones and 1 non-Conan. So the 2 games mentioned in this slide are those. So it's 1 Conan game and 1 non-Conan game that we are talking about here. Bearded Dragons, the development of that game is going well and is still scheduled to release this year. Publishing activities are ongoing with QA, PR and marketing, project management, working together with the development team, and the initial information will be revealed tomorrow. So keep your eyes open. Exciting. This is a Stian side.
I think this is an interesting way to summarize 3 key areas of Funcom strategy. So up until 15, there was the focus was internally developed PC games, and the development time was around 3 to 7 years. It was big games, and then the company's future heavily depended on each launch when they're that big. And in 2015, we led a change, a new strategic direction. And one of the key changes was to reduce the development time dramatically to 1 to 2 years. And also to start developing more games at the same time. But that's one key change. The other key change that is also ongoing is that we also started to develop for console games at the same time, or launch the games at several platforms. PC, Xbox and PlayStation 4 are the main ones. And now going into the next phase, 2018 onwards, we have 2 more important revenue streams where co-development and publishing is one, where we aim to have 2 new games in 2019, where we have the Bearded Dragons game in 2018, and continue that speed. And of course, royalty from Heroic Signatures. So all in all, this makes the company more stable and more robust, and gives us more revenue streams. So I think combined with a strong financial position we have now, is a very, very good outset for the next phase of the Funcom turnaround.
Yep.
Yeah, and then summarizing it all, the 2017 was the most profitable year in Funcom history, 6.8 million profit. So the turnaround is on track. Now, looking into 2018, we have 2 very compelling launches. Conan Exiles, full launch 8th of May. And then the Bearded Dragons game that you will hear more about tomorrow. And then Heroic Signatures is established, the company holding the IP rights. And we've already started to see the revenue benefits from that. That started at 1st of February. And the co-development and publishing strategy is going on, and we will then diversify revenues going forward and keep you updated when transactions or when investments have been made. And then we will touch upon the strong financial position and also the very good news on the new game that's entering into pre-production in March 2018. It's an exciting game in itself, but also from my perspective, looking at the financials, I'm happy that we get started this soon, because that also means that the revenues and launch arrives sooner.
So those were the points we have. We have gotten some questions that we'll try to go through. So we need to get over here. Are we going to get a new roadmap for Secret World Legends? We are right now focusing very hard on the agent system and season 2, and the roadmap is going to depend very heavily on how those are received by the players. So we don't want to, at this point in time, put out a very big roadmap of what we think is right. We want to put things out from that we have planned, and then see player reaction, and then based on that make a roadmap that is more what the players want. How big is your focus on cost control? I think we've answered that question. We are growing in a what was the word I said? Sustainable way. Was that what I say? It's a sustainable growth. So we grow. We're not growing very fast, but we do see that we can grow in some key positions. There's always some turnover, so there are always some people that come and go, but we are growing slowly to be able to support the Conan Exiles and new project in North Carolina and the games that we have in operations. Will Funcom touch Anarchy Online this year? Maybe. How much have you capitalized costs for the Better Dragons game? We don't give the specific number.
I can comment a bit in the notes. We actually comment on the Q1, no, sorry, the Q2, Q3. That was $500,000 as we changed from expensing it to capitalizing it. And then the Q2 was, we announced this deal late in Q2, so Q2 number was smaller than the Q3 number, and that kind of gives an indication of the run rate also.
Next question is, hello Funcom, it's great you're doing well in 2017. Congrats on your success. Thank you. I have one question, which is when as in the year did Funcom start developing games? Funcom was founded in 1993. It first had a phase of 5-6 years of doing mostly work for hire games, porting games for Disney and a few other companies, and then started making our own games at the end of the 90s. Are you going to have more news on Conan Exiles? More news? No, the news are the news. The game's on track. It's gonna be a good launch. When you announced the JV with Cabinet, you said in stream licenses have been made and games are in progress. Silent period is over. Why didn't you talk about these licenses that have been made in the report? And what about the Doom Trooper game? Isn't that the game to announce? So we are going to be making licenses with the companies making games. Some are there, yes, and many aren't because we just started. It's important to remember that the revenue stream from these will be much smaller than what we see from the games we make or even games we publish. So they are not that material, and we get half the royalties. So they are not that material. So we will give an update when we feel that there's enough material information to give an update on. But until then, it might not be beneficial to the licensees or to the PR and marketing activities of their games to talk about it. So we will talk about the licenses when we feel that there is any material information. The Doom Trooper game, yes, it's any game that you see that is out there that is an interactive title using one of the IPs. Doom Trooper is part of the Mutant Chronicles IPs. That's a game that Heroic Signatures gets royalty for. What more can you tell about the co-op shooting game? Nothing.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question.
It's just I was expecting that question, so
and you even preempted it in the discussion. Yeah. But next question is, why have your operating expenses nearly doubled in 2017? Does this mainly reflect higher staff costs or increased promotion and sales activities? We can say that we're happy that part of the increased cost is directly related to revenue, and that's the royalty part, which we also now have effectively reduced by making the Heroic Signatures. And also 2017 was a very intense year preparing for launches and porting to Xbox and PlayStation 4. So that is part of those costs. And that's also variable costs, so that's something we hire external experts on those porting activities just when we need it and for that time period. And we also have some other external help on launch-related activities like testing and certain part, also certain part of development. So that's a main chunk of it. In terms of number of people, it's not that big difference on 16 and 17. We have had this slow growth, but very limited.
Yep. Next question: in this quarter, did you get money from Koch Media? We don't comment on the details of deals with our partners. Is it possible to get a comment regarding amount of players in Secret of the Legends playing outside of Steam? Is it a considerable amount? There are players playing outside of Steam, but maybe I'm being too mean by just saying that. Just people keep on fishing for all kinds of things. It's there are players playing outside of Steam. It's not a negligible amount. That's the only thing I'll say. Another question regarding hiring and team growth. It seems like the demand for content in Secret Total Legends is high. What is the plan to avoid the stagnation that occurred in Secret Total Legends? Well, in the Secret World. Well, the plan is to put out content like we're doing now with the Season 2. We will see how the players react to the content. We will see. We hope that many players come into the game to play that content, both old players and new players. So if things work out, we will make more content. If things don't work out, we don't make more content. It's as simple as it is. So we're trying our best to make content because Secret World is a great game that wants more content and the players there want it, but it needs to make sense for us as well. Question about if we plan to change our stance on splitting number of players or revenues into each game. No, we don't plan to change our stance. Any future mobile game tie-ins, tie-back? We don't operate in the mobile space. We might work, or we intend to license the IPs out to mobile companies, but we don't have any immediate plans for anything on mobile directly. How big are the royalties from heroic signatures? We don't comment on that. Another question. There are many questions today. When speaking to potential investors, they found that Funcom is too risky, as you are still very dependent on success of a few own developed games. What would you tell these people? I'll tell these people that minimizing that is exactly what we're doing. We are generating multiple games, multiple revenue streams with different risk profiles per game. Some games are full investments, the games that we make ourselves. Some games are part investments, the games that we publish. And some games are no investment, the games that we license IP to. And the smaller the investment, the less revenue we get. But by having many eggs in many baskets, we will change our risk profile tremendously and allow these multiple revenue streams to minimize the bumps on the road that always happen. It is a risky industry. Gaming is unstable, hard to predict, and risky. But we are, with a new strategy, taking the actions that we think are reasonable to minimize those risks.
And of course, we need to keep in mind the significant upside that is correlated with this. That's very hard to predict gaming results, but the games that are successful can be extremely successful, and then the cost base is more or less the same. So from an investor's point of view, that's also, of course, important to consider.
What specifically do you do to make sure the quality of your games are of proper quality? We're taking quality quite seriously. We, as we mentioned in a previous presentation, weren't as happy as we would like to be with what we've been putting out, and quality is very much a mindset, but it's also giving the teams the resources and the time to do it right. We're doing our best. We're focusing on it. We're letting people. We gave Conan Exiles a bit more time in order to reach that quality level, and we're trying to create a culture of quality, but that also takes time. So there is no direct checkbox I can tick that will magically fix quality. If there is, please let me know, because I want to tick it. We're working it into the company's culture. What is a proper sales per employee level to target in 2 years? I won't comment on it. Are you getting anything else than just money from Holbur? Just money. money. I like how it's just money. We're very thankful for the support Robur has given us, both in money, but also maybe more important in belief, in the fact that they believe that what we're doing is the right thing, and they believe that in our plan for growth. So I think that's everything you can ask for from an investor is support and money.
Well, it's also a long-term investor, which is very favorable for us and other investors.
I mean, and then the question goes on to ask if we get access to deals, other interesting contacts and stuff that can also be of value for Funcom. Well, everyone we meet, we expand our network, and we hope that we can end up with something of value in the end for everyone involved. So that's just part of general networking and business development, not specifically to the private placement with Robur. Conan Exiles, we will still be developing it with new features in DLC. We have not talked about any DLC plans. We're not ready to talk about that yet. We will continue supporting the game after launch. Again, how much depends, as with any game after launch, depends how the level of support depends on how the game is performing. We will see. Next question is basically the same. What will become of Age of Conan? It still holds so much potential. Well, we just ran the Saga server on Age of Conan, which has energized the community and has done quite well in terms of user activity and revenue. Of course, it's small numbers. Age of Conan is has a minor contribution to the business. It's a game that we love. It's the game that I was hired coming to Funcom to work on. So it's going to continue being there, and we will continue doing interesting events to keep the community engaged within a reasonable level for the revenue it brings. We don't comment on how many copies of the games we've sold, so I don't answer that question. Will there be a new Conan trailer? Marketing has a plan that involves making trailers. Do you think there will ever be an Anarchy Online 2? There you go.
Always get one or two or three questions about that.
We see the summarized version of the question, so I don't know how many people have actually talked about that. Like I said before, I don't think everyone has a different idea in their head of what Anarchy Online 2 would be. So Anarchy Online 2, an MMO, even if we did make an MMO that was take Anarchy Online and remake it and call it 2, many people would be upset because they would feel that it wouldn't be the true Anarchy Online. So we love the IP. We will eventually make something with the IP. Will it be called Anarchy Online 2? I don't know. There's here saying an email saying I think it's fair to say that previous big games have suffered from lack of content and tweaks after launch because of next game focus for the devs. That is not true. I take offense to that. We have spent years with big teams improving our games post-launch, both on Age of Conan and on Secret World. We have produced a lot of content. We have improved the game, improved performance, improved stability, improved polish. If anything, anyway, we definitely have done it. So the question that comes in here doesn't apply. We did spend a lot of time improving the games post-launch. So to think that we wouldn't do that is just wrong. Will Secret World come to PlayStation 4, Xbox? We have no plans. It is unlikely that it will come. That Secret World will come to PlayStation 4 and Xbox. The technology isn't really made for console. It would be a very significant amount of work to get it on console, and we have thought about it in the past, and we didn't feel that it made sense. The business case didn't make enough sense for us to do it. So we don't have any plans right now. It doesn't mean that we will never do it, but it's not on our current roadmap. Yeah, I think that's it. That's a lot of questions answered. So if you have any more questions, feel free to email us at investor@funcom.com. And oh, I forgot to change this to our faces while we were talking. Oh, that's okay. I'm not a Twitch pro, Twitch master. I think that's it for us.
Yeah. So thanks for paying attention to what we had to say, and again, we're happy to deliver the best, most profitable year ever in Funcom's history.
Yep. That is amazing.
Well done.
Yep. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you.